tennis star Novak Djokovic has lost his last-ditch court bid to stay in Australia and is set to be deported. The federal court upheld a government decision to cancel the unvaccinated Serbian player's visa. The government argued that the 34-year-old posed a threat to public health. Well, let's go across to Rika now for more on this. And Rika, so a big setback to the tennis star, but a great day for vaccinations.
Absolutely, a great day for vaccination, as you said, and the ones who speak for to take vaccines, but definitely a sad day for tennis, as Novak Djokovic, the biggest star at the Australian Open, who has won the title 9 times, now will return home. I am joined at this hour by Vishal Uppal, who is the captain of the Indian Billie Jean King Cup team, former Davis Cup player. Also, Gautam Bhattacharya, senior associate editor of Gulf News. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the broadcast. Vishal, let me come to you straight up. Happy Slam no more, because the man who named Australian Open as the Happy Slam has lost a legal battle to stay in Australia and is now heading home?
Yes, obviously quite a big setback for Djokovic in his quest for his record-breaking Grand Slam. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think the correct decision has been reached. I said it all along. You cannot have a certain set of rules for some people and then, you know, give a free pass to a few. So I think the Australian government has done the right thing. They've made the right decision. And this sends a strong message to people around the world who still doubt vaccination saves lives, that please get vaccinated. That's the only way we're going to get past this, you know, pandemic. And yeah, well done to the Aussie government at the end of the day.
Gautam, let me come to you and ask you about, you know, Novak Djokovic's popularity, and would that take a hit at this moment with him losing the case this way? He won the case on first account and then now lost, and now it seems that he can't appeal the judgment anymore.
Yes, I think this second ruling is a kind of nail in the coffin. Definitely his popularity, you know, is going to take a hit, because Novak had been pushing his luck a number of times on this, you know, COVID issue. If you remember last year, how back in his country he had organized the tour where he led with trouble. He himself had tested positive. This time, there are a number of counts on which the court had, you know, passed this directive. So definitely he's going to take a blow. It doesn't make him any less a champion, though. I mean, 9 times this man has won in Melbourne, but that's the unfortunate part.
Right, Vishal, I'd like to ask you, so what does this now mean for his quest for his 21st Grand Slam if he continues being unvaccinated? I mean, there are more Grand Slams ahead, and all the countries have rules regarding vaccinations.
Yeah, I mean, Gargi, we'll have to wait and watch till the French Open as to what happens. You know, whether the French government will allow him to play or not. You know, the French President Macron, you know, recently did make a statement where he said he'd like to piss off all the anti-vaxxers. But after that, the French Open has come out with a statement saying that they will allow Novak Djokovic to play in case he's not vaccinated. I think there's more that we're going to still see in this saga, in this drama. But I think more importantly, the messaging has to be consistent for people world over. You cannot tell everybody else to get vaccinated to get past this pandemic and tell a select few that it's okay, we'll give you a medical exemption. You know, one of the most baffling things in this entire saga was on what basis was Novak Djokovic given an exemption in the first place? Nobody knows that. So, you know, when things are so much in the gray, you know, questions will be asked. And yeah, I mean, I guess time will tell us what happens to his quest of playing the French Open or the Wimbledon or, you know, US Open. I'm hoping by then we'll be, you know, way ahead of this pandemic.
Vishal, in view of the decision that has been reached today, do you see Rafael Nadal go on to win his 21st?
It's not going to be easy for him, Rika, I can tell you that, because, you know, there are a lot of young, hungry players who've actually matured a lot in the last year and a half. So I think the battle lines are definitely going to be drawn. It's going to be a very intriguing Australian Open. The younger generation, you know, Zverev, the likes of him are really eager to get their hands on a Grand Slam trophy. So it's not going to be easy for Nadal, but definitely his biggest challenger is out of the Australian Open. And yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how he plays over the next week or two.
Also, he's recovered from COVID and making his way back into the circuit. Gautam, coming back to you and talking about Djokovic, this is not the first time that, he's been out of the tournament for, other reasons. Even in US Open, we've seen that he hit the line judge and, there was a drama over the incident. He even didn't shake his hands with the line judge when he exited the court. It seems that Novak Djokovic is finding newer ways to get out of slams every time.
He is a man known for this kind of implosive nature. I mean, the incident that you talked about there, I would still give him a benefit of doubt the way the ball was hit. But yes, I mean, there have been far too many cases now. That's him. But this is where he pushed his luck a bit more, Rika. I mean, there have been players like Vishal would know this, Pierre Herbert, the French doubles champion. He had stepped aside of US Open because he belongs to the anti-vaccine lobby. So he had taken a very clear stance. Unlike Djoko, who used his stature, and he was trying to push his luck to get into the tournament.
All right. And Vishal, how do you think the ATP is going to now react to this?
Well, I don't think the ATP has, much of a choice in this because, they have a, messaging going on that you have to get vaccinated to play tournaments, because federal governments around the world will not give you visas if you're not vaccinated. I mean, where every player who's coming up through the ranks is facing the same issue. If you're not vaccinated, they're not letting you in the country. So, I think the rules have to be consistent, for everyone. I'll keep saying that till the cows come home. And, and just another point on Djokovic, I think he's a great champion on the tennis court. Off the tennis court, I'm not so sure because, he has to be a role model for many people. Now you'll see a lot more protests going on in Australia, people who support Djokovic and, who might become even more hardline towards not vaccinating now. So yeah, I mean, the ATP really has to come out with a strong policy, a strong statement. So does the ITF, the International Tennis Federation, and make it consistent for each and every player. There should be no special favors done for anyone.
Vishal, that's the point because Djokovic is one of the biggest poster boys of tennis currently. And since ATP runs, the sport, in what way can they convince Djokovic to take the vaccine and remain the star that he is?
I can tell you that Djokovic surely doesn't have a lot of fans in the ATP council itself, because if you remember a few months back, Djokovic was trying to, start his own player association, which didn't sit well with the ATP. I think the only messaging that the ATP can have for Djokovic or any other player is get vaccinated or you're just not going to get an entry into the tournament. Because, there's just too much chaos around the world and we need to get past this pandemic already. We're sick and tired of this. And it's just these voices that, sow doubt in people's minds about getting vaccinated, which is a part of the problem. So the ATP, the International Tennis Federation, they both need to come out with very strong policies on this. Get vaccinated or you cannot play.
Gautam, if I may ask you one final question, huge relief for the players now who will be taking part in Australian Open. Rafael Nadal called this a drama. He wanted to end. Of course, we don't have Roger Federer as a part of the field this time around. But overall, when you look at the players who are participating, it'll be a huge relief for them.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, this morning I was reading the newspaper. Some of them have said that it's time now, let's get on with the tennis. I mean, ever since he stepped into Melbourne on the 6th, it had been, the thing had been going to the court back and forth like that. So I think it's time to get on with the tennis, and the tournament has taken a hit, but we have discussed enough about it. So it's just time to move on.
Vishal, has Australian Opens, would you say Australian Open has lost its sheen after all of this?
Well, not from a tennis perspective. I think the fans of tennis will obviously eagerly look forward to watching the Australian Open. But I think the manner in which this whole saga has been handled from the very beginning, has definitely left a lot of question marks on Tennis Australia and on the way this whole thing was handled. See, the sport is much bigger than any individual. Champions come, champions go. The sport will live on. And the love of the sport which people have in their hearts will remain. You will still see tremendous amount of viewership for the Australian Open. People who love tennis are going to come out and watch tennis no matter what. So I think yes, in the short term, there might be a little bit of bleeding that that Tennis Australia might have to suffer, but so be it. They brought it upon themselves.
Well, the tournament begins tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. India time. Hope the tennis fans will still tune on to Australian Open. With that, a short break.
They will.
With that, it's over to Gargi for the rest of the news.